people say that we lost in Vietnam. Did we? Full Metal Jacket and
Hmm.
Jarhead. Those two movies are like the most accurate depiction.
Why do you think the United States was not able to get rid of the Taliban after 20 years in Afghanistan?
Uh, Honestly, that's a very in-depth topic. This unit was made to prevent that from happening again. So anytime there's a conflict in any other country, we get sent out ahead of time to boost up security.
Muy buenas chicos y chicas, bienvenidos a otro episodio de Análisis África con un dos Eriche. Y esta tarde tenemos un episodio muy especial. Vamos a hablar con un ex marine de los Estados Unidos que nos va a contar la experiencia de ser soldado estadounidense y algunas de las cosas que hacen ellos y otros temas que vamos también a tocar. Hello Abe, how are you today?
Good, brother. How you doing? Buenos dias.
That's a great introduction. So can you tell
Right.
us about yourself, please?
All right. My name is Ibrahima. I'm Gambian born there, but I left when I was 1 years old. So raised in Houston, Texas. From Houston, I joined the Marine Corps when I finished high school. I did about a little less than 6 years over there. Did one combat deployment and then did 3 years as an embassy guard also. I got to travel a lot. Once I finished, I did school overseas, started out in Croatia where me and you met. And then I switched over to Prague, Czech Republic. And from there, I graduated. And now I'm just currently doing my master's online while living in South Korea. And been blessed to go to 42 countries so far overall.
Well, so let's go back to the beginning. How does somebody join the U.S. Marines? What is the first step you have to do?
They come to you. So they came to our high school, but I went to them. Thing that I didn't know anything about the military when I joined. I was just trying to get out of Houston. I was just done, you know, being home and all of that stuff, and I just wanted to explore. So you just go to their local recruiting office and you talk to them, and they're really eager to get you, especially if you're in shape and everything. I was always a sporty kid, so they were really eager to get me. And they sit you down in front of a recruiter and they explain everything to you, how it all goes, what the lifestyle is like, and all of that good stuff. They butter it up to you, they sweeten the deal. And then after that, you sign a bunch of paperwork, and then you have to go to some medical appointments to, prove to them that you're fit and everything. Um, and then you're off to boot camp. You get a set date, and then you're gone.
But how long does it take from the moment you walk into the recruitment office to the day you're in boot camp? How long does it take?
It depends. Some guys they leave within a month. Like me, it took about a year because I was still in high school. So I had to graduate high school first. Yeah. So that's the only requirement is you need a high school diploma or GED, as we call it. And I signed up when I was 17. So my final year of high school. And then once I graduated, a couple months later, I left. I was supposed to leave earlier, but I decided to like go visit my grandma and family, proper goodbyes and stuff like that. And then I dipped out February 2012.
Wow, just at 17 years old.
Yep. I was ready. I actually wanted to join the army because I didn't know what a Marine was. Like I'm telling you, my knowledge at the time was clueless. I had no idea what I was. All I knew is military. Oh, they pay for your college. Okay. Oh, it's a job. Oh, you get paid. You get paid a little bit. You get to travel. Sign me up. I'm out. 3 free meals a day. I'm cool with it. I get free food and everything. All right. I mean, you technically pay for the food, but still, it's there at least. And I signed up and left.
So you leave your house. Then do you go to certain bus station or how do you get to the base where you start the training? How does that work?
Yeah, so it depends. So the Mississippi River, right? In the States.
Yeah.
So if you're west of the Mississippi, you go to California, San Diego, California. If you're east of the Mississippi, you go to South Carolina. It's called Paris Island, South Carolina. So I was west of the Mississippi, so I went to San Diego. My recruiter, they pick you up. and everything from your house in the van. You know, they give you a ride, all of that good stuff. He picked me up. He dropped me off at this hotel. I stayed in a hotel for like a day or not, something like that. And it was myself and other people joining the military also, but going to different branches. And, you know, some people going to Navy, Air Force, Army, things like that. And we stayed in the hotel for the night. And then the next day we go straight to the airport. And then we flew straight to San Diego. And as soon as you land in San Diego, some instructor comes. He's like, shut the F up. Everybody put your heads down between your legs. Don't look, don't talk, don't say nothing. And this fool, can I curse or what?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I just make it because I've been holding back a little bit. But yeah, this guy, he drove us about 45 minutes around the city just to mess with our heads. Turns out the boot camp, we call it a depot, the training depot was right next to the airport. So just to play mind game with us or whatever. So we drove around. As soon as we get to the depot, an instructor comes up. He's like, sit up straight, look at me, blah, blah, blah. You're at, recruit training depot, San Diego, California. There's no welcome. It's get the fuck off the bus and stand on the yellow. Yeah, so straight yelling to the point. They harassing you, they yelling at you, they all in your face. I'm telling you right now, I didn't know what I was getting into. So I was just like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on, bro? And yeah, so we stood on those yellow footprints and the rest was history. You get straight to it. That first week, it's called receiving week. So all that is just they need to place you into a company. So I was placed into what's called Bravo company because you go from Alpha, from A to K. And I was placed in B company, which is Bravo. And from there, from that first week, it's actually probably the worst because you're not used to none of this stuff. And you don't sleep for the first, I think about 2 days. You straight up don't sleep. They have you doing paperwork. They have you sitting in line. You got to get shots. You got to walk in a line of dudes, with your ass hanging out and just get shots in your ass. It was like jail. Yeah, it was like jail. You walk, they give you some shots, and then after that, you just get messed with at the slightest mishap. You get pulled off. You got to go squat in the corner for hours or whatever. They screw with you. They just really mess with you. And then you get to your actual company. You meet your instructors, and then the training begins, and you move on from there. The rest is history.
But by the time you're sending all those papers, are you officially a Marine or not yet?
No. Well, you're not a Marine. But your kind of date starts during that time when you sign those papers. So you have to do 4 years. If I did active duty, so I did 4 years active, and then you technically do 4 years as what they call inactive reserve. So when you're inactive reserve, all that means is that you can get called back. So they can call you back if they need, World War III breaks out, numbers are low. Yeah, they can. But that reserve date, that inactive reserve starts when you sign that contract. So during that year, when I signed it, I was technically reserved because that means that I can get called anytime. Like if they tell me, hey, you need to go to boot camp earlier than we actually said, then they can ship me out if they want to. And when I got out, I did my 6 years. I got out and I only had about a year and some change left on the inactive reserve part. But, I was already living in Croatia and all of that good stuff. And that time ended. So that was done by 2019.
And how is the U.S. Marine boot camp? Is it like you see on the movies, people yell at you, they insult you?
Hell yeah, they insult you. Of course. Yeah, that's the point. They break you down. They change you. You become a different person. You learn how to walk straight. Your posture changes. You sit up straight. The way you speak, even you can't even talk in first person. I can't say you can't the words I, me, we, him, them, that doesn't exist in your vocabulary when you're in boot camp. You have to talk in third person You have, like, when I'm talking about myself, I have to say this recruit. This recruit needs to use the bathroom. When I'm talking about you, I have to say that recruit. You know what I mean? Like, call all your instructors very formally by their names and their rank and everything. It was, yeah, it's annoying, but you get used to it. The movies that are the most accurate depiction of boot camp, if you want to see, I would say is Full Metal Jacket and
Mhm.
Jarhead.
Esta noche vais a acostaros con vuestros fusiles y cada uno le dará a su fusil un nombre de mujer, porque ese es el único chocho que vais a disfrutar aquí.
¡Ey, señor!
Dime, ¿tienes novia, Swafford?
¡Señor, sí, señor!
¡Eso te crees tú, hijo puta! ¡Jody se la está tirando ahora mismo! ¡Ponte boca abajo y haz 25 flexiones por cada vez que se la follen este mes! ¡Venga, boca abajo!
Fue poco después de conocer.
Those two movies are like the most accurate depiction of what boot camp is. Now, they're not allowed to hit you. You know what I mean? So in the movies back in the day, yeah, they'll punch you in the gut or something like that, but they're not allowed to hit you anymore. So at the same time, those movies, when it comes to the treatment and everything, those are the most accurate, I would say.
Did you see any colleague just quit because they couldn't take it anymore?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we have guys that quit. But the thing is, when you quit, they make it very difficult for you to quit. Like,
Why?
they just being assholes, bro. That's all it is. Yeah, they process they put you through is insane. Like the waiting time, they just make you wait forever. To be honest, that's all it is. They just make you wait. You have to do a bunch of paperwork and out processing and stupid stuff. To be honest, like things that don't make sense. But it's just to make your life hell for wasting their time, I guess. Like,
So imagine you want to quit today. How long would it take? Like 2, 3 weeks, 1 month?
months. It could take months. That's what I mean. It would be horrible for you. Not no weeks. It'll take months. Yeah. They're assholes about it, bro. So
So during the basic training, what about if somebody is just unfit? They cannot run, they can do too many pull-ups. Do they take him out of the army, or they just do
yeah, you
something
fail.
with him?
No, you'll fail. You'll get chances. You do get some chances to do it again. They'll train you and everything, but if you can't adapt to the lifestyle, then you get kicked out. That's simple.
But they wouldn't make you wait to get kicked out. They will kick you right away.
No, you still have to do the whole out processing thing, but yeah, you definitely are getting kicked out if that's the case. Just failure to adapt. Failure to adapt.
And during that boot camp time, when do you feel that you're in the Marines? When you start doing gun exercises, shooting, or not yet?
You mean when you officially become a Marine? Like,
Or or how do you feel when you're all in the Marines already? Because when you're doing all this running and not touching any weapon, you might not feel that you're in the Marines yet.
I mean, you really don't become an official Marine. Like you're not classified as Marine until you graduate. You know, boot camp. Uh, so when we're doing all the training and stuff, so the first week, yeah, they teach you how to march. Basically, we call it drill, and they teach you all of that stuff. You know, you're getting yelled at, trained. That's every single day, whatever. But you don't start weapons training until what we call second phase. So there's 3 phases. First phase is
Mhm.
the first like 4 weeks because it's 3 months total.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, it's 3 months total. So the first 4 weeks, it's called first phase. You learn how to march. You know, that's when they're breaking you down because you don't know anything. And then the second phase, that's when you go and you learn how to shoot. You go to the rifle range and you have to qualify and all of this good stuff. And then the third phase, it's a mix of like everything all together. You know, that's when you kind of, you've already been there a little bit, you know what's going on. You're used to the lifestyle. So it's kind of whatever to you. And at the end, we do this thing called a crucible. And when you're doing the crucible, we go to the field for about a couple of days. It's like 3 days total. And I think, I can't remember, it was, yeah, you don't sleep much. Like within those 3 days, you get like maybe 3 hours of sleep, something like
Ooh.
that. Um, it sounds nasty, but when you're doing it, it's like it's kind of like whatever, because you're used to getting messed with for so long that it wasn't bad. Honestly, I don't know. I say that just as a personal, you know, my personal opinion. But once you get used to it all, it just becomes whatever to you. So we go to the field, we do a bunch of exercises and things like that. They train us on like teamwork, you know, how you go through these different obstacle courses, these different scenarios they put you through. They just haze the hell out of you, honestly, on a lot of this stuff. And then at the end, we run up this steep hill, and then at the end, when you're done with the field, we all get in formation. And they give you an eagle, globe, and anchor. That's the symbol for the Marine Corps. They hand you one in your hand, and they, tell you congratulations. You're officially a United States Marine. And there you go. So, and you see a bunch of dudes up in line, they crying and shit, all emotional. Yeah. So that's when you are officially a U.S. Marine. But as for like all the training and all of that, you're constantly doing stuff.
But don't you have days off or something?
In boot camp? Hell no. There's no days off. I mean, every Sunday was like religious day or whatever. So, everyone, if they want to go to church and things like that, or if you, wherever if you want to go to church or the small mosque that we had that I used to go to, you could go there on Sundays for like a couple of hours or something, or like an hour. And then you could like write letters home because we weren't allowed to have phones or nothing. So the way you communicate with your loved ones is you write letters like you back in World War II or some shit. And then, yeah, we just go on from there. But that's the day off Sunday. But you get a couple of hours to write letters. And then after that, after like half of the day, they get back to hazing your ass. So.
Before we move on into the next topic, out of the three phases, which one is the most fun or the most relaxed?
The third phase. So the third phase is definitely the most relaxed because when you first get there, it's hell. Like I said, you're not used to none of this stuff. You don't know this kind of life. So they're breaking you down. So that's when they're really messing with you the most. But by the time you get to the third phase, you're so used to everything that it's just like, it's whatever for you. You know what I'm saying? You still getting hazed and all of this crap, but everything is just whatever. And that's really the last bit of time, because it's just, it becomes life to you. You know what I mean?
So when you graduate boot camp, after that, do you have days off or you're on to your next job?
No, you get a 10-day vacation after boot camp. So you can go home. You go home for 10 days. And then, and then after those 10 days, you go to combat training. So it depends on your job. I was a driver, so I went to what's called Marine Combat Training in California. And the guys that are infantry, they go to Infantry Training Battalion, ITB. And what they do, they learn, matter of fact, let me say what we do. What we did was we learned all the basics of infantry training. Formations, we get to shoot some machine guns. We go to the field every week, sleeping outside, hiking like crazy, all of that. More hazing, whatever, you know what I mean? And yeah. And the infantry guys, they actually learn their jobs. They go more in depth with it all.
Infantry is the one that you see on TV, shooting the guns and stuff like that?
Yeah, those are the guys. That's like, the main guys and everything. And for what's up?
Those are the ones that are sent to war, the infantry guys only, right?
No, everyone is. Yeah. As a driver, when I was a driver, we actually the drivers have higher risks than the infantry guys. They get attacked the most when they go out because you're doing convoys and crap like that all the time. So you actually get messed with the most. But the infantry guys are the main. Those are the main ones that you see on TV and all of that good stuff. Yeah.
And when you're doing field exercises, how does that work? You get to sleep outside, no matter if it's cold, or raining, or snowing, or whatever.
Yep. Yeah, you outside, you in a tent, or me, sometimes I'll sleep in my truck. You know what I mean? But yeah, you outside the whole time. You stay out. Sounds nasty, but you don't shower for those couple weeks. You know, you the way you clean yourself is with baby wipes. So take a whole bunch of baby wipes to clean your balls and stuff like that. You know, we stank for sure, and we do various exercises from different training. So in my case, we did a lot of convoy operations. Sometimes we'll go to the machine gun range. So we'll shoot machine guns also sometimes. We just go over we go over different scenarios, you know, just to make it like we're actually in the field, like in our war area, and just train. That's it. We do a lot of training.
So you don't shower. What about brushing your teeth? You have your own toothpaste and stuff like that?
Yeah, you got to take your own, of course. Yeah, no, you still got to brush your teeth every day and all of that good stuff. You know, they emphasize hygiene big time because yeah, you're in the field and you can't shower much, but that's just because of the situation you're in. So yeah, you're not showering and all of that, but they still emphasize you shave your face every day.
Really?
Yeah, you have to shave your face every day still, you know, with a bottle of water, whatever, you know, find ways to just clean yourself, you know, just make do with what you got.
What about if you want to urinate?
Go find a tree and piss. Dig a hole and shit in the hole, you know. Yeah, you gotta you make do. Like when I was in Afghanistan though, like when you on the base, you don't you have a bathroom and a shower that you can use all the time, that you shower every day and all of that stuff. You know, it's just when guys go out on convoys or something, you know, when you got missions or something, okay, yeah, you're not going to shower during that time. But as soon as you land wherever you are, then you got to shower.
Yeah. Before we move into that Afghanistan topic, so you're in the field for a couple of days. What about the food? What do you guys eat? Do you guys get food delivered or you guys have your own rations?
When you're in the field, so you
Yeah.
have these things called MREs, meal ready to eat is what it stands for. It's basically a pack. And in that pack, you just have food like you know, it can be some pasta, whatever. It's a full meal, but it's just all in one little box, and you can heat it up. They have like there's some little chemical thing that you put a little bit of water in, and then you heat that up, and then that'll heat up your food. So it's not too bad. Some of the meals they were all right, like you know.
Does it fill you up?
Yeah, it fills you up. You know, you get like
Really?
you get like a little powdered drink, powdered Gatorade or something like that. You can put in your bottle of water, and you can drink that. And the meals are not that bad, honestly. It was all right, but it does fill you up. It's nutritious.
I believe when you're done in the field and you go back to the base, you take the biggest shower ever, right?
Yeah. Yep. You take the biggest shower ever because you're gonna see all of that dirt and gunk, you know, fly off you in the shower. You'd be like, ooh, damn.
Okay, let's move into the Afghanistan topic. So how how do you know you're gonna get deployed? They send you a letter or somebody comes to talk to you personally?
No, you're already in your unit. So a unit is where you're stationed, you know, your group. And so in my unit, they just came up to me. We were in formation one day. So formation, we always got to get together and we have to take roll call to make sure everyone is present, right? So that's how we pass the word. We tell everyone, hey, this is the plan for today. We got this, and this going on, blah, blah, blah. All right, break. Everybody hop to work. So formation, that's also when they pass like, hey, we have a deployment to Afghanistan coming up. We need people to go. Who wants to go or who wants to be put in the selection box, we'll call it, whatever. You raise your hand. I raised my hand. I was like, yep, North Carolina sucks. Get me the fuck out of here. I'll go anywhere. So we'll all go. And then it was like the next day. It was actually my 19th birthday. Yeah. They came up, my staff sergeant, my leaders. It was like, happy birthday. You're going to war. And I was like, all right, bet. So yeah, that's all it was. And then
So
they process you out. You have to go pick up a bunch of gear and you go to the next unit that you getting sent to or the next place to deploy.
So they don't force you. You raise your hand that you want to go to Afghanistan.
Depends. Some guys get forced. Like if your unit is going, you're going. Like that's it. If it's their time to deploy, then you're gonna deploy. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. But in my case, I volunteered because I had to go to a different unit to deploy with them. So yeah.
And how in advance do you know that you're going to Afghanistan? Like 1 month, 2 months? Because you have to say bye to your loved one.
That was about a month in advance that I knew.
And you were in South Carolina, you told me.
At the time, I was in North Carolina. That was my unit that I was sent to. So after I finished all my training, I got stationed in Jacksonville, North Carolina. And yeah, from there is when I deployed.
So how is that flight? You go straight, or you stop somewhere else? Like you go from, say, from North Carolina to London to Afghanistan, or to Dubai. How does that work?
You do have stops. So we usually go to Kyrgyzstan.
Kyrgyzstan,
yeah. We go there for about a couple of days, and there's an Air Force base there. And once we're there, we stay for a little bit, and then we take a big old military plane, and we fly from there to Afghanistan. But on the way to Kyrgyzstan, we're doing a commercial flight. So yeah, we get I'll get on a bus, we go to the base, and then from the base, we take a military plane, and then we fly into Afghanistan from there.
So to Kyrgyzstan, you take a commercial flight. You could be with any of the big brands.
Yeah, but it's all military. Like the flight is obviously saved for us. Like it's not like we're with civilians or some shit like that. Like nah, it's like our whole unit, just all the military guys. We got our weapons with us, and then we flying on a plane, and we just head on out.
So from North Carolina to Kyrgyzstan, no stopover, no layover.
Yeah, we had a layover somewhere in the middle of nowhere, Germany. I don't know where the hell we was at, to be honest. I think we stopped in Ireland. Yeah, and then it was the same thing on the way back. We went from Afghanistan to Kyrgyzstan, and then from Kyrgyzstan to bumfuck out of nowhere, Germany, and we stayed there. We had a couple of hours layover, and then from there we fly home.
On your way to Afghanistan, what are you thinking in that plane ride, in that plane flight? What are you thinking?
Damn, I'm actually going to Afghanistan. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, to be honest, and then just talking to other guys. That's about it, and just getting ready for the journey.
So once you land in Afghanistan, does your mind change? Like, hey, I should have stayed home, or you're ready to whatever comes to you?
You're kind of ready for whatever comes because most Marines, we have that mindset of like, this is what we want to do. We know we signed up for this shit. Like, it is what it is. So you're just gonna go with the flow, and you're gonna do what you got to do and just work.
Because the Marines, you guys are the first ones sent into war, right?
Usually, yeah, but situation dictates. Like with Afghanistan, I think actually the Army were the first ones who technically were there. They're special forces, obviously. And then even before we like literally land, the Air Force, they'll probably do a couple of airstrikes on the shit or whatever. But so the Marines, we're technically like, yeah, the first ones to like be called to war when it comes like as a whole. Like, when they start sending units and everything, yeah, we're the first to fight.
Because I was talking to some guys from the Air Force, and I heard that they call the Marines bullets.
Yeah. Yeah. They say that shit because it's just like so we have stereotypes. It's like the military is like a brotherly love type of thing. We make fun of you, talk shit about each other all the time. And they say they like to call Marines dumb. Like they call us jarheads. Like we're just empty-headed guys who all we know is, hey, go there, kill that. All right, boom, that's it. And so we have this stereotype of being dumb, but it's just a joke. We're not actually retarded, but
Let's get into Afghanistan. So you land in Afghanistan, and what is the first thing you guys do? You guys set up camp, or you guys go to a base?
Yeah. So what I can tell you is you get to your base and, your unit, they spread out and they tell you, they brief you on whatever you got going on. They tell you where you're going to be assigned, and then you get to work from there. After that, it's no days off. You do have some like initial training at first. It's kind of like I guess like a welcome to Afghanistan packet or some shit like that. It's yeah, you go through that, all this, you go through some quick little training, tell you what to expect. You train and then after that, you hop to it. You get assigned where you're assigned, and then you get to work. After that, is no days off.
But as soon as you land off the plane, you don't
Yeah.
get any time off.
You get you maybe get like the day to, put your stuff down and find your room, where you're gonna sleep, and then the very next day you're getting right back to it. So
But during those days, how do you know when you're going to go to certain village, certain area, or they just tell you when you're there?
they'll tell you. So the thing is, communication is always key. They always tell you where you're gonna be stationed, where you're gonna go, where to go, at what time. So everything is, very structured and all of that good stuff. So you'll know, they will tell you.
And for your personal experience, how long did it take you to until you started, you know, going into this and that place looking for the terrorist?
Right away, like probably within like after like the first week, then you get back to work.
Wow. And was Afghanistan safer during when the Americans were there or not? Or it wasn't safe?
No, it wasn't safe, obviously, because the Taliban, the Taliban, they were still attacking and everything. They still wanted to wait it all out. But by the time that I went, things had calmed down, compared to what it used to be, like initially in the war, because we had so much stuff built up. And our mission was actually to start tearing everything down because we were getting ready to leave. Because it was like, I know everyone saw, that the whole mishap of how we left, how it was a shit show, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't supposed to be like that. We were supposed to leave in order. Like we went there and we started breaking everything down. You know what I mean? Everything coming from bases, we were retrograding it. Either sending it back, selling it to other militaries, or destroying it. So that's what we were supposed to do. It was supposed to be a structured thing. But when Trump came in, then troops got sent back in. And then by the time we were supposed to leave, it was just too late. So they just said, fuck it, and left. And just, everything was in a rush at the last second. But it wasn't supposed to be like that. There was a detailed plan on how we were supposed to leave.
So what do you mean tear everything down, like destroy the country, or?
No. Just everything we had set up, like all the bases, all the equipment that we had from all the different mini bases that we had spread around the country, we were sending everything back. We were just recycling, basically.
I think some of it got left in Afghanistan. That's why you saw some of the Taliban with.
Yeah, a shit ton got left, but it wasn't supposed to be like that. Like I was saying, we were supposed to send all of that stuff back. That's what we were doing. We were shipping a lot of stuff back, from helicopters to tanks to just boxes of just weapons, everything. So,
Did you ever get to talk to any Taliban or come face to face with them?
nah, you don't sit there talking to them and none of that shit. Nah, it wasn't like that.
No. Were you guys always on alert or not?
Of course, you're always on alert because they're constantly attacking. I mean, hell, it got to the point where at first, so we took a lot of what's called indirect fire. It's just them shooting shit at us from mortars, just guns, just shooting at the damn base. And it got to the point where it happened so often, you don't even give a damn no more. I'm talking because they would choose the worst times to do this shit. Like they would do it at like 3 in the morning, when you got to wake up at like 5 or 6 and you just tired and you're like, bro, are you serious? And it got to the point where, honestly, I wouldn't even get up to go to the bunker. I would just be like, man, fuck it. If I die, I die, bro. I'm going to sleep. Because you just tired of this shit. But yeah, other than that, you know, it was just day-to-day life. You know, you get used to everything. Like I said, it's like boot camp. You know, it becomes such a thing that you just get used to shit. And
I've read that the army that took the biggest hits were the Afghan army. How bad or how good were they?
yeah, they definitely did, because especially at the end, it was their war too. You know, we took a step back, and we didn't want to have such a presence there. Like we were fighting, like we were like the front lines. They were the front line, you know, and we left it to them so that way they could take over and everything. We became like a support role for them. And yeah, most of them definitely took the biggest hit because they got hurt the most. They got blown up a lot, way more than we did. They got shot up the most. You know, they still had to go home to their families and all of that. So yeah.
Yeah. There is a famous political scientist that says that having a strong army is like having a nice car insurance because you never know when you're gonna need it. Do you think that if Afghanistan had a good army, the Taliban would never rise up?
Obviously not, because Taliban took back over. Yeah, but yeah, not all of them were the worst. Like they had great soldiers and everything too. But in the end, we all saw the result. So
Yeah, but what do you think was the problem with the Afghan army? Corruption, lack of training, or lack of heart?
not lack of training, that's for damn sure. They definitely did train. I would give it corruption and heart.
Hmm. And what do you think the Taliban got their weapons from?
Where
If
they
you
got their
could say that.
weapons. A lot of the weapons were left from when they fought, when the Russians had invaded way back in the day. So they had a lot of leftover weapons from there. Some that they stole. I mean, what they have now is obviously stuff that was left behind by us. But most of the time, and also they got money. They buy weapons from,
Really?
yeah, being funded by Iran and everything. So they get money, and you know they fund weapons. A lot of it is drug dealing. To be honest, they sell a lot of opium.
Yeah.
So that's
So
where a lot of
thank,
them
thank
got.
you. Say that again.
And I said that's where a lot of them got their money.
Thank you for saying that because a lot of people think is the Taliban are just these people who live in the desert, are wearing flip-flops and they have nothing.
No, these fools ain't dumb. These people are not stupid. Yeah, I don't know why people think that we were just out there fighting some caveman or some shit. No, these are human beings. Like these guys are not dumb. They know what the hell they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like they're hacking shit from caves. That should show you how smart they are. Come on, yeah, they were getting money. So when it comes to their weapons, it's not like they were just out here stealing weapons and you know just finding shit on the dirt. No, they were buying weapons. They you know what I mean? They were actually in the market. Yeah, it was illegal and they went through the black market and all of that good stuff, but still they were doing it.
Thank you for saying that because that clears all the water. Because me, even myself, I was thinking not too long ago that the Taliban were these stupid people that live in caves, wear sandals.
No,
And,
it's just they just have their own culture. So a lot of times, see where we fail in Western society, what we fail to realize is just because things look different and other people's cultures, you know, do things a certain way that are just, you know, not as we'll call it, I guess, not as structured as we do it. We tend to think that, oh, it's just primitive or whatever, when really it's not. It's just different.
but the Afghan army, were they using American weapons or not?
Some, yes, that they found or stole, you know, from various places. But for the most part, no, they mostly had AKs, mostly Russian weapons that were left behind and things that they bought from the black market.
The Afghan army, or I'm talking about the Afghan army?
Oh, I'm sorry. The Afghan, I don't know why I'm still thinking of Taliban. The Afghan army, they also had AKs and they had weapons that we provided for them too, that we also trained them on.
we've talked before about it in private. Do you think AKs and modern assault rifles can make a big difference in the war zone or not?
Yes, because of reliability. So what we had was
Because
M4. They were very accurate and everything. But an AK-47 also, it's good because it's just more durable. Like you can like not beat the hell out of it, but you can, it can fall in the dirt or fall in some mud. You pull it out and it's still gonna shoot, So
you guys had M4s, you said M4s.
yes, we had M4s.
Because sometimes when I see these armies from the poorer countries, and I see they carry AK-47s, I'm like, why do they carry these Soviet weapons from like 40 years ago?
It's cheaper, and like I said, it's still a good like an AK is still a good rifle. So like I said, because it's just durable.
Why do you think the United States was not able to get rid of the Taliban after 20 years in Afghanistan?
Honestly, that's a very in-depth topic, but simply they didn't quit. They waited it out, especially once they knew that we were gonna leave. They just waited, and and at the same time, a lot of the stuff that happened, like it's war. You know what I mean? And a lot of these guys, they're trained up since they're kids. They were fighting a lot longer than we were, and it becomes generational. They're gonna pass it down. It becomes a family thing. It's just like, imagine, like why do we still have racist people around? Because it's generational, because that hate and everything, it's get passed down generationally, just being fed bullshit since you're a kid. And a lot of them, that's what it was. And then even still with all the fighting that was going on, when we kill certain people, it's gonna affect somebody, their family. All they're gonna know is you killed my husband, my dad, my uncle, brother, whatever. They're gonna feel some kind of way about it. Like I said, these are still human beings. And then the shit just spreads from there. And that's how and then they constantly recruit other people also into their cause. They have their messages, they have their own propaganda, all of that. Like I said, these guys were organized too.
Before we move into the next topic, I got the last two questions.
Mm-hmm.
They say that America never loses wars. They just don't care. They just lose interest. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, actually, I think there is a great amount of truth because Vietnam was like that too. Vietnam, people say that we lost in Vietnam. Did we? You want to check those numbers again? Because honestly, of the losses and everything, but what we really did was we pulled out. The same with Afghanistan. We didn't really like just lose the war. Yeah, the Taliban did take back over. Okay, they won their little cause and all that. We didn't complete the mission that we really wanted to. However, if you want to talk about just fighting overall, yeah, we were the better fighters. But in the end, we did lose interest and then we left.
And how in advance do you guys know that you guys were going to pull out? 2 years, 3 years?
More than 2 years, man. This was like since 2012 we were starting.
Really?
Yeah. And then it took what? 2012 is when we were starting. Like I said, when we went, we were retrograding everything back. And then, when Trump came into office, they moved troops back into Afghanistan to further the mission. And then when he left office, then they started pulling back out again. And then all of a sudden, last minute, just pull everything out. Fuck it. Because the contracts ended for all this other shit. There's a lot into it. If you really want to see why we pulled out last minute and when those contracts ended, I would suggest a video by this journalist called Johnny Harris on YouTube. And he broke down basically everyone who made money from it.
You just surprised me, my friend, because everybody who does political analyst, who is a political analyst, they just throw the United States just pulled out just like that. But now you told me since 2012, so it was planned almost like a decade ago.
Yeah. That we were starting to pull out. Because like I said, when I was there, it was supposed to be a structured departure. So we were supposed to leave within a set amount of time, but it was supposed to be in a way where the Afghan National Army were taking over the mission and we became just a support role for them, right?
Okay. I understand that.
Yeah, that's what it was supposed to be at first, but in the end, we all saw it didn't work out that way.
Thank God I got some inside information from somebody who was actually there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also if you do thorough research, you'll see it also. Because even a lot of stuff I didn't find out until like later when I really started studying, when I did my bachelor's degree also in international relations. And I loved it. You know, political science is actually extremely interesting to me.
It is.
A lot of things that I, researched, I got to go more in depth about what we were doing because it's not like when I was there, I wasn't some politician or some shit. Like I was just another number, I was just a Marine, just working, doing my job. You know what I mean? But when I really started studying, then you go more in depth into what was really going on behind the scenes and all of these things. A lot of shit I learned from actually studying myself, not just from being there. When I was there, I was just working.
So let's move into the next topic. So you left Afghanistan. How do you get into the embassy work? Do you sign out or they just choose you, hey, Abe, you're next in this place?
Both. You can be told, but I volunteered again for that one because I love traveling. I wanted to travel. That was my big thing about joining the military that sold me to it. It was like, you can see the world, and that's what I wanted to do. Afghanistan doesn't count because, that's different. But I actually wanted to be posted in places like Japan and stuff like that, see some cool shit, some real cultural stuff. And when I did the embassy guard, it was about maybe a couple of months after I got back from Afghanistan. I was in my unit. The same thing. We're in formation. Hey, who wants to go and be a Marine security guard? We have this duty. It's opening up. People can choose to sign if they want to. Raise my hand. Hell yeah. Get me the fuck out of here. North Carolina sucks. And then, it was about maybe like 10 months later that I actually left because it's just the processing, the paperwork. You have to wait for a training day, for classes to open up and stuff like that. And when I signed up for the Marine Security Guard program, I went to Quantico, Virginia, and we do our training there. That was about 2 months of training. And, we do everything from classes to learning about what Marine Security Guard does, what it's like because when you're with your regular unit, you're with the Department of Defense. But when you go and become a Marine Security Guard or embassy guard, you get stationed with the Department of State. And so you work under the Department of State now. And we go through the training, we learn all of this stuff, death by PowerPoint, to be honest. And we still exercise all the time. We train every single morning, and then we go to class. And we in there, we go to the shooting range because we have to do a different kind of qualifications with a pistol and a shotgun. Also, your rifle, your pistol, and your shotgun. So you train with those. You have to qualify. Once you qualify, you get pepper sprayed in the face. Yeah, that shit sucked. That was the worst, man. That was the worst fucking pain in my life. God damn. Yeah. Because we call it OC spray because it's not the pepper spray that you can just buy in the store. It's actually stronger. So they spray you. You got to go through a course. You can actually even find that on YouTube too. Just look up OC spray Marine Security Guard. And so after we go through that, you go through the course and everything. Then the next day you have to go buy some suits. And when you buy some suits, they give you money to buy suits, which was cool, and suitcases. And once we buy that, then around that time you get told where you're going to go. So I got very lucky. I got told I was going to Tokyo, Japan. Best time of my fucking life, brother. Yep. Being 21 in Tokyo was lit. I'll tell you that right now.
So Tokyo was your first destination?
Tokyo? Yeah, so Tokyo was amazing because that was the first place other than Gambia that I lived outside of the United States as a grown adult. Because living in Gambia, I was a kid. You know, my mom did one of those. You keep acting up, I'm gonna send your ass to Africa for 2 years. Yeah, that was me. I got hit with that. But
Really?
oh yeah, yeah. I got sent to Gambia for 2 years, brother. Yeah, that discipline for that discipline. So yeah, I was one of them
Damn.
kids. Yeah. But
So
what's up?
for how long were you in Tokyo?
I was there total about 9 months because we're supposed to go to each destination for a year. So you get 3 destinations. You go to each one for a year. But Tokyo, I got sent out early because I just got moved early. It just happens. It's luck of the draw. That's all. And well, while I was in Tokyo, it was great because I learned a lot about Japanese culture, man. I'm talking, I was out everywhere. I went to temples. I took trains to different cities just because, you know, I went from places like all the way to Osaka, and back. Um, I went out and partied a lot, of course. You know, I was active. You know, I even at one point I learned a little bit of the language too, because we take language courses also. But it's just for
Mm.
you to learn the very basics, you know, the numbers, you know, how to say hello, goodbye, you know, ask for directions, things like very simple stuff.
And after Tokyo, sorry, how was the life of as a Marine Guard, embassy guard? Who do you live with, by yourself or with more people? Is it a big house, small house?
It's a share house. You get a big old share house. That's basically that's what you get. We each get our own room and bathroom, obviously, you know, things like that. Yeah, so you'll get your own room and your own bedroom and bathroom, and then everything else you share. You share the kitchen, the living room. It's a big house. We have like a room where we can like play pool. We have like a bar, things like that. We have a gym also. We always have a gym,
Hmm.
little basketball court or something like that, or a field where we can just play sports. So
So you guys live like kings almost.
yeah, it's good living. It's really good living. I could not complain.
Was it in the city center of Tokyo?
We were in the center of Tokyo. We were in what's it called? Akasaka, which was right next to Roppongi. And anybody who
Hmm.
knows about Roppongi, that's like the party area. So yeah, we were next to that. But not everywhere is like that now. Like for example, when I was in Croatia as a Marine, we lived all the way by the airport. Like we
Ooh,
were,
yeah, I know what it is.
yeah, we were way out there. Like it was like 20-minute drive, but still, like we were out there, like by the freaking airport, like in the middle of nowhere. So it just
So
depends on the country.
after Tokyo, you went to Croatia.
No, after Tokyo, I went back to Quantico, Virginia. So I went to a unit called Marine Security Guard Security Augmentation Unit. Short, they call it MSAL. So the reason why this unit was actually made in 2012. And you remember the situation that happened in Benghazi at the embassy there?
Yeah, of
Embassy,
course.
with the ambassador dying and everything. So
Hmm.
because of that, what happened in Benghazi, this unit was made to prevent that from happening again. So anytime there's a conflict in any other country, we get sent out ahead of time to boost up security. So we
Hmm.
had to do more training. We did some like advanced room clearing. We did a lot of shooting. So we got to shoot, you know, M4s, shotguns, and pistols a lot, and we also got to shoot a weapon called the M27 IAR, which is basically is an automatic. It's a fully automatic rifle. It was supposed to replace one of the machine guns that was in the military, but that was fun. So I got to shoot that a lot. We did a lot of room clearing training. Um, Basically, you know, learning how to detain people, arrest folks, things like that. It was honestly good. It was really good stuff. And with that unit, we stationed in Quantico, Virginia, and we do short
Hmm.
deployments. So with that unit, I did 4 deployments with them. I went to Juba, South Sudan. I
Mm.
went to Manila, the Philippines. Uh,
Ooh, that's nice.
yeah, Buenos Aires, Argentina. That was great.
That's nice as well.
And Jakarta, Indonesia. And
Ooh.
yeah, so yeah, I lucked out. Juba was the only, you know, bad place that we went because we didn't all we were doing in Juba was just protecting the consulate. We were just doing extra security because the civil war had broke out over there in 2015. Yeah,
Mm.
in 2015 that civil war was breaking out literally, I think you know about it, between the president and the vice president. And
Yeah.
yeah, so we were there just boosting security on the consulate
Yeah.
and, you know, just making a presence also. And then after that one, Manila, the Philippines, and Buenos Aires, Argentina, those two were VIP missions. So when President Obama visited those countries, or whenever the president, the vice president, and the Secretary of State, whenever they visit anywhere, we do what's called VIP missions, where we just help with security. That's basically it. We boosting up security. You know, obviously the Secret Service is there and everything, and we get to work not like literally alongside. Well, yeah, in Buenos Aires we were next to them. We get to work alongside them, and we coordinate with their mission also, and we just get placed wherever they need us. You know what I mean? We're extra bodies basically, and that was really cool because you get to see what the Secret Service does also, and you know what could possibly be your future, because a lot of us, when we finish the military, a lot of guys go Secret Service or they become federal agents in general, you know, where it comes to ATF, HSI, things like that. And with that mission, with those two missions, I got to meet Obama at the end also, like shake his hand and everything. So that's always a cool story for the ladies.
I believe Manila and Jakarta must have been wild, but not for this podcast.
Touche. Yeah. We'll talk about that one over drinks, brother.
So after Tokyo, what is your next embassy destination? Croatia?
No, Croatia came. That was my final spot. That was after the unit that I just explained to you, MSAL. So after MSAL, I got put in Croatia, and that was my final destination. Because when me and you met, I was fresh out of the military when we met. Yeah, that was what, 2017 or 18 that we met.
We met in 2017.
Yeah, I was fresh out of the military, like fresh out. So
for how long were you in Croatia for with the work?
So I was working there for about a little over a year. And then when I got out, I stayed for 2 more years for college. Because when we met, I had just started school. Like I was in my first semester of university when me and you met. And yeah, I stayed there for about 2 years total, because I left to Tel Aviv, Israel to go work my first contracting job for about a year. And then I came back and I did like another semester of school. And then that's when I moved to Prague after that.
And how was Tel Aviv, man? That's a hot destination.
Tel Aviv, first of all, expensive as fuck. Yeah, it's very expensive, but it's a party city, to be honest with you. Tel Aviv's a party city. It took some getting used to, for sure, mainly because of my job, because I was working so much. But also even society, like I can say over there, it was like 50. They can either be rude as hell or they can be like really cool with you. Obviously, I met some really cool guys, some really great local Israelis that showed me around and everything, you know, and all of that good stuff.
But wasn't there any risks in Tel Aviv because, you know, the situation with Hamas and all these things?
Yeah, it was risky because, well, Tel Aviv is relatively safe, to be honest with you. It's a moderately safe country. The biggest risk, you got a lot of theft. Like people steal a lot over there. And then and I mean like locals, like, you know what I'm saying? Like they still steal and all of that. But also even with the rocket attacks coming in. So when I was there during peacetime for the most part. There was nothing going on. We had a couple of IED threats, like people leaving backpacks by the embassy and shit like that. And then police have to come and do their thing and all of that good stuff. So there was that risk, but for the most part, it was fine. And the end of my contract, I left in July. It was about like June or something like that. Rocket attacks hit again, and Hamas, they shot like 300 and something rockets overnight into Tel Aviv, and they all got stopped, thankfully. But that was like the only risky time. Other than that, it was pretty quiet when I was there. I think the biggest thing we had happen was, other than backpacks being left by the embassy and people trying to leave bombs and shit, an apartment next door, somebody threw a grenade inside. But other than that, I was chilling.
Now you're in South Korea, right? After all those destinations, now they put you in South Korea.
Currently, I am in South Korea. I'm in Seoul. Yeah.
And how is your job there in South Korea?
It's fine. I'm also working a security job, but I'm doing this while I'm doing my master's degree online, which I will be finished by the end of this year, thankfully. And yeah, so I work security over here also at the military base. I'm currently doing DoD contracts because I was working with Tel Aviv. I worked in Tel Aviv, Ankara, Turkey, and Erbil, Iraq. I worked over there doing Department of State contracts for the embassies. Now I switched over to the DoD side just for now. So.
And the last question before we finish this podcast: if you had to choose any place to work for the state, where would you be? Where you will be for, let's say, for 5 years? Where would you like to be?
Probably Prague. Go back to Prague. I love that city, man. That's probably the most beautiful place I've been to in Europe. And I love it because it also has everything that you need from a city, but it's not too big. You know what I mean? It's very easy to get around, cheap to travel around, plenty of stuff to do, plenty of things to see. You know, it's honestly, it was just a great time. I was honestly super happy that I did my bachelor's degree, that I finished my bachelor's degree over there, because it was more than worth it. Like, I met some great friends, some great people, locals and foreigners, showed me around, you know, showed me the local Czech culture. Also, I got to see a lot of that. I met a guy who even does MMA now over there, Federico. He does MMA over there, and he shows me every time I go and we kick it. He actually shows me a lot of the local stuff that we do. And a great friend of mine, Noemi, also, she shows me a great time every time I go back. You know, like taking me to like real Czech stuff, like stuff if we haven't done it yet, but like even from mushroom picking, you know, out in the forest, to, you know, learning about the local Czech food, you know, going to like actual restaurants. You know, sometimes they'll be cooking at home. They'll give me some food, invite me, you know, to various events for the holidays. The same things my boys in Croatia do. Like, Croatia was the same for me, honestly. You know, Croatia always has a place in my heart, because I have friends over there to this day, you know, that still keep in touch. You, for example, we met in Croatian. You're not Croatian, but even my local Croatians, I'm still in touch with them a lot. Like, and I love messing with Croatians when I meet them outside of the country by speaking the language a little bit, because they're like, "Oh my God, a black guy speaking Croatian."
Is there any place where you would like people to contact you?
You mean like my contact or whatever? Yeah. You can find me on Instagram. It's just my travel thing. Traveling African, or at traveling without the G at the end _ African. And then my Facebook, I'm not really too active on that one, but you can find me Ibrima, Ebrima, last name Ndure, Ndure. You can find me on Facebook also. If anybody would ever have questions about anything, or just would like to contact me, I'm always open to have a discussion.
Well, Abe, thank you for being with us for this hour. This has been a really, really interesting conversation. I think we could have been for that more, because you've been to all these places, but I don't want to take all of your day or all of your afternoon. Thank you
No
for
worries.
being with us.
Thank you. It was a great pleasure speaking to you, man. It always is. And I'm glad that we have stayed in touch, you know what I'm saying, and all that good stuff for these plenty of years. Like, time has flew from us just meeting at a bar, just having regular conversations with each other about life, to, you know, now I'm on your podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you also, brother.